Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Deborah Eckerling, author of your Goal Guide and creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people to dive into a topic. And today we are talking about artificial intelligence, AKA AI, AKA the robots are taking over the world. Maybe it's not terrible. Well, we'll decide that later. But regardless, whether you're watching us as GoalChat Live, the replay, or listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network, we're glad you're here. And in the case of today, choosing those all-important AI goals. Yes, I just called AI important. And it's a topic I've been meaning to broach for a while, but as a writer who sees tools being used for evil all the time, little hesitant, but hey, I am hip and I love my technology, and here we are. And with us today, we have Hank Eder, and Hank comes, we believe, from previous guests who recommended him in. I do a GoalChat meet and greet for friends I haven't met yet once a month. So if you're interested in being a guest and we don't know each other, please reach out. I will give you the link. We also have Seth Goldstein, who's the one who brought me into the Marketing Podcast Network.
I was just thinking about that. Did I bring you into this? Yeah, I did. So.
Well, not only that. So last week we had Mike Alton, who a newbie to Marketing Podcast Network, newbie with 5 podcasts. Yeah. And then next week we have Joseph Jaffe, who's another Marketing Podcast Networker. It is not on purpose, or maybe it is. You never know. But it's always when I have podcasters on the show, well, and Brynne's well, actually, all 3 of you are podcasters for today. Yeah. We love to talk, so why wouldn't I have you all regularly on the show? And Brynne Tillman, who I met through our dear friend Vivica Von Rosen, who I had none of us could believe it took us so long to meet, and is now back on the show. So, Brynne, always good to see you. And as you all know, unless it's on purpose, my guests don't know each other, but actually Brynne and Seth know each other. And this happened once before when I brought Seth on. He's like, oh,
I know everybody.
Michelle.
Well, I've actually known Brynne for probably 18 years. So
I've known Seth longer than I've been on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow. And she's the LinkedIn goddess. So, you know, that's something there.
And the other, see, there's my train of thought. What?
How do you recover from that? That's
I don't need to recover. It's my show, right?
Exactly.
I've been on LinkedIn ever since I read a book in 2003 that said, stop what you're doing and join LinkedIn. And
That's a book on that. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I believe it was in Guerrilla Marketing. Anyway, completely off track. Good to see you all. I would love for you all to take a moment just to introduce yourselves a little bit better and explain why it is you are so jazzed to talk about AI. So, Hank, welcome.
Oh, I guess the new guy gets to go first. There we go. I'm Hank. I'm also known as Hank the PR guy. I have a small digital agency online. I'm a one-stop shop for all things marketing and public relations. My pet peeve is, you see a beautiful, beautiful website. You look at that website, you say, somebody paid $10,000 or more for that website. It's got flashing things. It's got scrolling photos. It's got parallax. It's got video. It's got car chases. Well, maybe not car chases. However, I walk away scratching my head saying, what do they do? Who do they serve? What's the purpose of all this other than to keep me entertained? And that's where I come in. I oversee all aspects of the whole process, from content writing to web design to logos, branding. When you need press releases, all of that, just come to me, hankeder.com. And that's me. I've got a long background in this. I date back to, like, I was a graphics designer before there were computers. So, yeah, I go back away. I'm giving away my age right now. I'm the senior of the group here. So.
And so why AI, though? Because like I said before, you came to one of my meet and greet, but there was something about this topic of conversation that you're like, pick me, choose me, let's talk about it. So what is it about AI that you think is so important to talk about?
Well, It's up and coming, and beyond that, there's no doubting that it's upon us, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And I am a firm believer. When people come to me and tell me that it's going to take over the world, I find that a little bit hyperbolic. When people tell me it's going to take my job, I also find that hyperbolic. But what I believe is that AI will not take your job, but somebody, a human who is adept at using AI, might very well take your job. So it's like, the people that wouldn't embrace computers. We've got a few friends that are really old school, and it would be so awesome to be able to send them an email or a text, but they don't have a cell phone. They don't have a computer. Yeah, if you want to reach them, you have to pick up the phone or you have to send snail mail. So, yeah, there are still people like that. But AI is coming on so fast and furious that you're either going to embrace it or you're going to get left in the dust. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we progress.
And I'm with you to the extent that, but I don't think AI is that new. I just think people utilizing it in this mainstream manner is. But again, cart horse.
Mhm.
Cart horse, exactly.
Seth,
So see who I am. Sounds
yes.
awesome. So I'm Seth. I have a digital agency as well, but I also am better known, actually, shockingly, for my podcast, Entrepreneurs Enigma. Also on the Marketing Podcast Network, where we talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs about their whole journey into the entrepreneurial space. Some of them have tripped and fallen into it. Others have kind of ventured into it knowingly and otherwise. So that comes out weekly on the Marketing Podcast Network. And as far as AI goes, you kind of have to be ahead of the game. I mean, it has been around for a while. I mean, Google's been in AI since the early teens of the 21st century. It just hasn't been forward. It hasn't been public. It's been behind the scenes, helping with the algorithm and all that stuff. It's all been LLM, large language models. It's all been machine learning. It's been there. It just hasn't been accessible to everyone. Everyone and their grandmother to go in there and play with the stuff. And now it is. And now it's like, oh wow, this is scary and fun and creepy and weird and awesome, all wrapped up into one.
And there you go. Scary, creepy, and awesome wrapped into one. And Brynne, I remembered exactly what I was going to say. Remember when I said I was going to say something and I got thrown off kilter? When you were on GoalChat a couple months ago talking about LinkedIn, you were very passionate about good ways to use AI, which is why I'm like, oh, great. We need Brynne to fill out the panel. So now that I feel better having backtracked, we can move back to the present tense. Brynne, who are you? And why are you here?
Thanks, Deb. So I'm Brynne Tillman. I am the CEO of Social Sales Link and co-founder of The Modern Banker. And my entire purpose is to help people leverage social selling to start trust-based conversations without being salesy. And social selling is now not just LinkedIn, but it is AI. And it is absolutely foundational that every company, no matter what industry you are in, it needs to figure out where AI is fitting in. So I do want to start by saying there is a huge difference between automation and AI. There's this world of automation that you can set things up and there are if-then statements and all, like whether it's in email automation or task automation, CRM automation, AI, the difference between the two is AI is learning from everything you do. Automation doesn't. AI embraces everything you feed it and everything that everyone else feeds it, and it continues to learn the good and the bad. It's learning bad information as fast as it's learning good information because people are feeding it. So for me, the biggest, oh my gosh, is, when I got on ChatGPT, I'm like, this is amazing. It's so accurate. And now it's hallucinating. So like it's gotten more unstable. So I think my message in this is it's phenomenal, but you have to take everything with a grain of salt. You have to make sure that you are using it authentically, and that when you are searching and gathering insights, that you're not only checking them, but making sure that you are not stealing them from somebody else's IP. So there's a lot of challenges, but there's so much good when you can use it well. And that's what I'm excited about talking about today.
I love it. I'm really excited. And I'm especially happy because I love it when people start answering questions before I ask it. And I really feel like you really dove into this beautifully, Brynne, but plain simple terms, what is AI?
So AI is a system that learns from the input. It learns from the research. So AI, artificial intelligence. So intelligence is not a static thing. I guess I'm not prepared to say this well, but but the difference between AI as we have it now and what we might think is AI that isn't, is whether or not it is learning, and I'd love to say improving on itself, but it is dynamic. AI is not like I program something and it's static, and until I put another program into it, this is all it knows. It's never going to improve or change or morph. AI is constantly morphing with every input. Does that make sense?
It really does, because I feel like Jetsons, right? Are we not living in the time of the Jetsons where we feed a computer something and it answers like they know us?
It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But I'm still waiting for the flying cars. Until I get flying cars, I won't feel like we're in the Jetsons.
Okay, we're Jetsons adjacent.
There you go.
I just want the makeup machine where like she wakes
Don't they
up
have that though? Isn't there something on Zoom where you just click a box and it gives you makeup? So
we do have that. We do have a filter. That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get something on Temu that does it poorly, but probably breaks in 2 minutes, but still,
But you look good for 2 minutes, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting aspect to what you said about AI being dynamic and how it changes and it learns and it grows. But one of the potential dark sides, and I'm not saying this because I distrust AI. I mean, I don't trust it, but I don't distrust it. I'm kind of like neutral about it, and I embrace it as a tool. But part of the problem is that all of the input that it gets, it's taking input from thousands or hundreds of thousands of sources, with this large language model and everything else that it's getting. And it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't have any sense of discrimination. It doesn't have filters to know if it's dealing, or a soul. Yeah.
It's like the autocorrect, honestly.
But it doesn't know if it's dealing with biased information.
Right.
So if what it's being fed, if it's pulling from websites that have confirmation bias or have ethnic or racial bias, some of the answers that you're going to get from AI are going to reflect those particular biases. Or is it biases? I'm never sure about that particular word.
Biasosis.
Biasos.
What I do like about AI now, I know Perplexity, the AI that uses its own model, it uses ChatGPT, uses Claude from Anthropic, and I think it even taps into Google's Gemini or Bard or wherever they're calling it this week.
It's Gemini now.
It's Gemini now. But what it does is they cite their sources now. So they say, oh, here's garbage out. Here's what they put out there. If you want to learn more, here's your citation. And my goal as a digital marketer is to get my clients' websites in the citations now. So they're citing my clients as citation. And so because I've always found myself, I read the blurb and I'm like, oh, that's great. Sometimes if it's like, I had to figure out slow cooking sausage today. So literally, I didn't have to go to the citations to figure that out. Just give me the answer. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Whatever, I'll figure that out. But if I'm looking at something more like the background on Deb here, or the background on Brynne, or anyone here, and the idea is that I want to find out more. They give you citations now. Back when ChatGPT came out in the very beginning, it just spewed stuff out, and we were like, that's the technical term there. But we just kind of went with it, and then we found out, oh no, they're making George Washington, East Indian, like, or whatever the heck it's going on. Like it's not correct what it's doing. So now they're putting citations in, which is really good. So they're at least saying it might be wrong, but here's where we got it from. And every once in a while, it still gets it wrong and gives you a citation where it doesn't even exist. But it's getting there.
So it's like Wikipedia-ing itself?
It is. Sometimes it eats its own tail, though. It does eat its own tail sometimes. Sometimes it says, I know a very well-known journalist, educator, Jeff Jarvis, is on his own podcast, AI Inside and all that, name drop. He's Googled stuff and it says like he's the associate professor when he's an actual professor. And he's gone and looked at the source and it says professor, doesn't say associate. But the thing is that what it is, when I'm back to saying it's spicy autocorrect, it's just predicting the next word. It's all it's doing. It's not that complex an idea. It's not some hocus pocus. It's literally saying this word comes after this word, it comes after this word. And we got that learning from this site. And this site said that word comes before that word, and it's not correct. Oh, well, that's where we learned it from.
So are you talking about Perplexity? What platform are you talking about?
This is on all of them. They all eat their tail.
No, I know, but the one that is reading from all of them.
They all are now. They're all saying their sources now. Even ChatGPT, I've noticed that sometimes it sends you a link or gives you footnotes at the bottom of what they wrote.
When I ask for it, it'll do that, and half the time the links are broken.
Hence eating its tail.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I love rabbit holes, but I feel like before we continue on, did we accurately define what is AI? It's predictive, it is humanizing, it is guessing. Is there anything else to share?
Conversational. So
it is conversational.
You can build on it, right? Like I can say, write me a blog post about the sky, and it'll do it. And then I can say, write me a blog post about the sun setting in the sky, and then it'll do that. And then I can say, now add birds in the sky, and it'll redo that. So you can build on it.
Iterative. That's the word.
Perfect.
It's very iterative.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed with AI is that it's a great, and I think this might go to Deb, you're an author and all that. It's great for the white page syndrome. When you have blank page syndrome. When
white page syndrome.
White page is something else. Right. Yeah. But still, it's a white page.
It's a blank white page. So
blank white page, exactly. So but the idea is like you need something to get you started. So you say, give me like 10 points about X. It'll give you 10 points about X. And it's usually pretty good when you ask for points versus asking for a whole blog post. If you ask for bullet points, generally it doesn't eat its tail quite as much. Double check it. But,
the interesting, you have to learn the lingo, right?
Yes.
So if you ask, give me bullet points, it will do that. But if you say, give me a list, it'll give you the bullet point and a full description.
Yeah, so it's different. Yeah.
Right. You have to start to learn its lingo. What I realize is I have different words naturally than chat does. So I'm now adapting to that. And one of the ways to do that, right, is to start saving your prompts, even the simple ones, right? When you finally get it to work, you save your prompts, and then you keep building off of that same prompt. I might be ahead of myself, but I also want to say one of the best things you can do, and I solely focus in ChatGPT just because it's OG. I don't know. I know I need to go to Perplexity, but I haven't yet. And I'm actually kind of having fun with Chat 4.0 that launched today. So that's kind of cool. But what I love is the custom instructions in ChatGPT.
I think
So
they're very similar. They're very similar. If you're using ChatGPT, you're using Gemini that used to be called Bard. And I
mhm,
jumped into Bard originally because when I tried to get into ChatGPT, it didn't like my phone number. And I tried and I tried and I tried. It said, this is a custom phone number, but it was just a cell phone. That's all it was. So I got into Bard. Now I'm into Gemini, which is what it is. And it's greatly improved. And when Apple, who is about to launch AI into their newer products, they're going to pair with Gemini engine. Gemini is Google. And, there's very little on earth bigger than Google, except maybe Apple. So
Mhm.
that being said, I have a friend who I consider a tech mentor to me. And when I get stuck, like if I have a website project and I'm stuck, something's just really not working, I just call this person and I ask her, what's the problem here? And she just looks at it from the outside and says, go here, fix this. She doesn't even need to log in. That's how good she is. But my point of bringing her up is that she told me once, Google giveth, Google taketh away. So
we've
you
been
never
through it.
want to get on the dark side of Google, or your whole online identity can go poof. Yeah, you don't
Mhm.
want that.
Very much so. Yeah.
Right.
So I say that about Costco and Trader Joe's. They give us products that we love.
Oh,
We
Trader
love
Joe's
that.
All the time.
makes me cry. I want my bolognese back. But I do want to just kind of finish the loop on the custom instructions. No matter, and I guess they all do it. I'm solely in ChatGPT, but the custom instructions is a game changer. So as you start to learn what's working, what's getting your voice, continue to update your custom instructions. So I started with custom instructions and then I started to put in my ethos and I started to put in some of the taglines that I use. And then I would put in an AI prompt and I'm like, this is perfect. And I'll say, whenever the custom instructions are on, this is how I want you to think. And the more you build those custom instructions out, the better it will work for you.
Absolutely. It's only as smart as you are. And then even then it's not as smart as you are because it's still gonna, I mean, I love this term, but it's gonna eat its tail. So even if you can get all the custom instructions in the world, it's not ready to it's not Terminator, it's not Skynet. Don't fear the Reaper here. It's not there yet. I mean, before the show, there was a post on LinkedIn, and I can share it in the comments when I find it again, about ChatGPT 0 or O, the tiny little O.
4.0.
4.0. So that's what they're saying at
0,
4.0. This is a small 0. It was weird
it's
looking.
an O, like the letter O.
Oh, it's a letter O. So 4.0 and then 4.0. Gotcha. But what they said was like it's going to start, not recognizing your room and have a conversation with it based on that. That's creepy to me. But then the person commented under that how it's not really like it's creepy now because it's new. Eventually, it's not going to be as creepy anymore because we're going to get used to it. And the
The
creepiness
fax machine was creepy when I first saw it.
I still
Like,
don't understand fax machines.
and I'm just like we
Yeah.
all like all of it, and then like our kids won't know any different. Our great
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to be entertained, just watch Millennials try to dial a rotary phone. Hank, did you answer the what is AI question?
Well, I was pretty happy with what I heard from Brynne and from Seth that AI is this big machine language learning tool, large language model, self. I once heard of something that was called a von Neumann machine. And what is that? That's something, it's a machine. It's a work of science fiction, but someday we're going to have them. It's a machine that can replicate itself, which, has some implications if that goes wrong. And, my mind wanders. Right now, I'm thinking of Yoshimi versus the pink robots. Anybody know Flaming Lips?
Yeah.
And the robots are attacking the guy, but his girlfriend is a karate expert and she's going to not let the robots eat him. I don't think we're going to get eaten by AI, but we are going to, it will eat its own tail, as Seth said. But I was pretty happy with these definitions of AI and not being, I have a friend who's building some pretty amazing, basically building platforms, something that builds platforms using AI as a predictive tool. And he could sit here with you and tell you, until your eyes glaze over what AI is from a technical standpoint. But for what I've
Definitely
already
please do.
heard,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
exactly.
too granular for this kind of
Yeah.
conversation.
Well, it's
What-
this big concept out there that's revolutionizing everything.
Mhm.
And what's important to me is the white hat practices versus the black hat practices.
Mhm.
And for anybody who's listening who may not get the reference, back in the old cowboy movies, the good guys always wore the white hats and the bad guys always wore the black hats. And some of the white hat practices I already heard Seth mentioning earlier, and that's to use it as a jumping off point. You have to do some research for a blog you're going to write, and you ask it for, say, give me 6 bullet points about such and such. And then you can assimilate that information and you could write a blog with these points in it, but you're writing it yourself. You're writing it in your own words. That to me is a white hat practice. But I know there's people out there that are telling AI, write a blog for me about such and such, and it feeds it to them and they publish it out to the world. Now there are there's a movement towards wanting to be able to identify those things so that if it's totally AI, it would be identified as AI. And sometimes I use it. I've got another, how can I put it? It's an alter ego. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but I've got this crazy thing that's called MC Biz Booma, Bizz, MC Biz Booma. Look it up. That's me. And I give 15-second little ditties about business in rap. And sometimes I will ask Gemini, I'll say to Gemini, write me a 4-line rap about X. And it gives me something, and it's kind of dumb the way it comes out. But sometimes the ideas that it pops in there are great. And then I take that as a jumping off point to be able to write the raps.
You have to rewrite it. Yes, absolutely. You have to rewrite it. If you don't rewrite it, Google's actually going to ding you if you go directly from Gemini or ChatGPT and just bleh, garbage out. Yeah.
It's just a jumping off point. That's what it is. But all of you look up MC Biz Booma, and it's because I'm a boomer.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So you're going to have to send me that link so I could include it in the recap, which you can get at thedebmethod.com/blog. And just so I am completely clear. So we've got ChatGPT. Are Gemini and Bard different?
They're the same thing. They just renamed it from Bard to Gemini.
Okay, Bard is now Gemini.
Rebranding.
Yeah, Google has to rebrand things constantly.
Okay, annoying. Is there any other basic ChatGPT platforms for the purpose of the recap?
Yeah,
Claude. That we need to know.
Claude from Anthropic.
Okay, CLOD.
Claude is in the French person.
Oh, CLAUD. Okay, what was the other one?
There's an E at the end. And that's by Anthropic, but it's the same thing. And then is there another one? And Perplexity AI.
It's the big new one that is supposedly pulling from everything.
Okay, thank you. I like to whenever I say ducks in a row, I feel like I need to pull out Puddles, the streamer duck.
Oh, yeah, streamer duck. Oh, I love it.
Yes. I have Puddles. Okay, go learn things.
You ever see people that own a Jeep and there's ducks all over the front of the, like in their windshield, they have like 25 little rubber duckies up there. You're not seeing that with Jeeps?
No.
I have not, but now I feel completely duck road about the different platforms out there. And I did have this question about is AI good or evil? And I think we've really answered that question, which is what
evils that we haven't talked about.
Oh, it definitely can be evil.
Well,
yeah, enlighten us. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to spend too much time on evil because, me, positive, yay rod, go team. But let's address the good versus evil, and then we can go back to offering some tips to use white hat practices for getting the most out of AI. Brynne, I feel like you really want to talk about the evil.
Well, in preparation for today, I was interrupted by my son who said, "Hey, the new Planet of the Apes is out." So we bought tickets for tomorrow night. Couldn't do tonight because I'm here. So we're doing tomorrow night. So I said, okay, so Rise of the Apes was my favorite of all of them.
It's a good one, yeah.
Hands down, right? So my evil today is Rise of the Machines.
Wasn't that a Transformers movie?
Oh, no.
It was actually, I think. It sounds very familiar.
So
my age might be showing, but I've never seen a Transformers movie.
You're not missing much.
I think you're good.
It's a lot of things blowing up and Toronto, the Space Needle falling down.
Okay, so Rise of the AI machines, I guess. So
yeah.
Here's the thing, and I'm a huge sci-fi person. I love it, and probably one of my favorite series was The Viewer. Do you know that's an old Jewish thing?
Kabbalah.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
Jewish.
I know. I think 3 out of 4 of us. Okay. But
all of us?
I think all of us.
All of us.
You're Jewish too, Deb.
Yes. The Hate Spuds with Deb on the Jewish Journal Podcast Network. You should not figure that out.
I missed it.
Oh, oy vey.
Oy, what was I thinking?
Yeah, by all the food references make me happy.
I get it now. I'm a little slow.
It's okay.
So here's the thing, and this is what everybody's afraid of. So my favorite of all series, I think, is the newer Battlestar Galactica, which is now 20 years old. Right? So they had the Cylons, and they were all integrated into, like, they fell in love, and they didn't even know they were AI.
Ooh.
They didn't even know. And so to me, I get in my head about all of these things, and I think that the future could look like that. Not in my time, not even in my grandbaby's time, but I think the future, I think there is an uprising of AI, of artificial intelligence, and they'll never have a soul, but they can fake it.
Yeah.
And that's the scary piece, right there. That's
well, you went deep on the scariness. I'll go more practical with the scariness. Is that a lot of AI? I mean, there's the whole big writer's strike was all about like taking people's likenesses and duplicating them on screen multiple times and all that stuff. There's kids are getting in trouble in high school with these apps that are doing naughty things with people's images. And we're going to leave it as PC as possible there. So there's a lot of AI misuse out there. But there's also a lot of good. But that's the other thing with anything online can be used for bad. Everything can be used for bad, but then there's also really good stuff.
Well, it's a tool.
It's a tool, and you can use it for good or for bad. Like, same with SEO: good stuff, bad stuff. It's just
you got a rake. You can till the soil with it, or you can hit someone over the head with it. It's the tool. I'd like to bring up two examples that I consider, the black hat practices, and if you want to call them evil, like Dr. Evil, uses of AI. One of them is something that I witnessed myself because I have a friend and mentor. Some of you might have come across Sajjad Hussein. He has a few groups. He's taught me a lot. I mean, he's remarkable. But they're on TikTok. He's got like tons and tons of followers on TikTok, and he's got a few imitators. And this one guy on TikTok actually sent me a link to watch his video. And what he did with an AI tool is he took Sajjad's face and he took Sajjad's voice, and he had things coming out of Sajjad's mouth with the lips perfectly synced.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Someone got taken for $100 million from or some insane amount because the scammers made the person look like they were talking to the CEO. Then got authorization.
There's that, and another thing I want to bring up though is this was it was kind of a political ad, and I'm not going to wax political and endorse or not endorse anybody, but there is a now famous picture of the presidential candidate Trump in a church kneeling, I think holding a Bible. I don't remember that part of it.
Upside down. No.
Yeah, but AI created that image, and there's
Mm.
two things specifically wrong with that image. One is he's kneeling in the pews, facing the pew, not facing out in the other direction. And if you look at it carefully, he has 6 fingers on
Yes,
each
the
hand.
fingers give you away almost all the time. They're getting better at
AI
that.
has a hard time with fingers when you're talking about that kind of art AI. So yeah, somebody could take your voice and put it on telephone robocalls. They could say that they're you, and
Okay, let's stop giving the world. I mean, the world has
An
enough
adjective,
bad
adjective.
ideas. Whenever I'm watching TV and I see like things taking over the world, this is exactly what I think. Oh, great! You're giving the evil people more ideas. So I
They already
get
have
that
the
it's
ideas.
out there,
They already
but-
have the ideas. They're leagues ahead
but
of
I'd
us.
like to kind of rein us back because
we'll second.
it really is about exactly. The purpose, I like to think, is inspiration and motivation. So let's stop telling people what not to do and instead go a little bit deeper into these white hat practices and
Rewrite your content. There you go. Brought it back.
well, not rewrite your content.
Rewrite good content. Yeah.
I do like the idea of it as a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
I do not and I remember, like I said, when Brynne was on before, she was saying, what was the thing about using only?
Yeah. So we have our sales reps or our clients go on to Zoom or Teams or their phone and record their ideas, 3 to 5 minutes. Then we take the transcript and we tell ChatGPT to use this transcript, do not research. So use this transcript only, do not research. And then it's so much closer to their voice. And it's actually pretty awesome. So, for those folks that are concerned that, of the plagiarism side of things, this absolutely is the answer. Capture your own genius and have it use your words only. And I think that's really important. And I'm going to go back to the importance of these custom instructions, because that's where it's capturing your voice, your thoughts, your perspective, your ethos. Those custom instructions, and that it is learning who you are. Now, I will occasionally put in there, because it'll go out. So I have a lot of public content. So I had someone tell me, oh yeah, when I wrote an email campaign, I said, do it in the voice of Brynne Tillman. I don't know, that's interesting. So now sometimes I will tell it to do it in the voice of Brynne Tillman, and it pulls in some of my content to do it.
So it's the training thing, right?
It's training it. It really is.
Do you all remember the days of Dragon Naturally Speaking, where it was the voice to text, and you had to spend hours training it to your voice, and it still didn't work out? I cannot tell you how many times I tried training that and all it, but I always.
And you speak clearly too. I don't speak clearly. Not my. I mean, my iPhone is a little bit better than my Android. I can say that Android, the AI and the Android phone didn't understand my Philadelphia accent. Siri is a little better. I'm not talking to you. Okay, there you go. But the person in my phone is actually better at understanding me on Apple than on Android. But still, Dragon. Oh, that was awful. I couldn't.
Now you can open a Google Doc and just talk.
It's so weird.
I find myself, if I'm on my phone, it will take me a lot less time to voice translate an email than it will to type. I know those kids today, they can type a mile a minute on their tiny, tiny phone. I absolutely do not understand that, but I guess it's a skill set. But that's like my favorite thing about technology is that I no longer have to try to train for voice recognition.
Oh, it's brilliant. Thank you, AI. There you go.
So yes, we found something that I truly, truly love and respect about the process. So I like the Brynne's idea that you can use Chat GPT or whatever AI tools, you feed it your own transcripts and have it rewritten. Great. I want more ideas like that. What else can you do using AI for your business?
I use it for graphics a lot. I mean, like there's graphics that I need done for like professional graphics. There's things that AI is just not going to do a good job of. It's going to be too complex, weird complexiony, or not enough detail and whatever. But for blog posts, it's a one and done thing. I'll go to Mid-Journey and say I need a person riding on a bike, getting chased by a dog, or whatever I want to do, or I want a robot singing a duet with Frank Sinatra or whatever. I mean, I don't think he'll do Frank Sinatra because it's a public figure, but like with a crooner or whatever, you can work around, massage the words around it.
Italian, beautiful crooner.
There you go. But when I found that the more descriptive you get with Mid-Journey, the better it does. With Dolly, which is
I hate Dolly.
ChatGPT's, but the thing is, because it rewrites what you write to write it better, and I don't like that it doesn't take you. I might if it stinks, it's my own darn fault. You know, it's my own darn fault. I miswrote it. Don't rewrite it and make it better for me. Mid-Journey is great, and they're now finally out with Discord. Discord is a chat like system like Slack, for those who don't know, and they used to be able to do a command in their Mid-Journey Discord to generate these things, but then you'd lose your graphic because someone else would write something below yours, and you have to go chase down your graphic.
Right.
Now they're on the web. It's a lot easier to use. But Mid-Journey is fantastic for quick blog posts or LinkedIn. For LinkedIn, if you need something real quick, you write a nice long thread in LinkedIn. You want to put something down there real fast, and you don't feel like going like this and pointing up at your pointing or doing something silly with your own picture. Use Mid-Journey. It's easy. But if you want to do something like for publication, stock art, or go out and get a real photographer to do it for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Canva. I
love Canva.
Yeah, Canva does everything I need. I just find that the graphics AI are not ready, and 100% of the time when they're AI generated.
Count the fingers.
Count
or
the
toes.
fingers.
Or toes.
But that young man that I was talking about a little while ago that actually builds amazing platforms using AI to predict, what the platform is going to need and to write the code. I mean, it's totally amazing what he's doing. He did his logo by just explaining to AI what he wanted, and he got 4 or 5 versions of it, and then came up with this.
The lettering's not that good yet, though.
I wish I could find what he sent. I looked at that and I thought that came from a professional graphics designer. So whatever he was using, I mean, it depends on I guess what tool you're using, but it's out
Dolly
there.
does English better, wording better. Mid-Journey can't figure out how to write anything. It's terrible. It's good with graphics, but it's not good with lettering. Whereas I said Happy Holidays, and they wrote Happy Holidays. I was like, whoa. It still looked like AI, but it still spelled something correctly.
So Hank, do you have another example or a tip for using it for the white hat, the good guys?
Well, just research. It's what I mentioned before. It's research. It's a jumping off point. It's that tool that's neither good nor bad. It's always the intention of the wielder. The one thing I would say about the white hat practices, and I guess I do have another tip, is if you're going to use AI for research, you have to go back and look at what it gave you and actually corroborate that really was legitimate. There's a now famous case of a lawyer who asked he asked for precedent, because case law is settled on precedent. And he asked for some case law for these precedents, and it gave him 4 or 5 cases. And he went into the courtroom and he cited these cases, and he came this close to losing his license because none of those cases were real. It was all made up by AI. So you can use it to do research, but you cannot count on the fact that it's accurate, or it didn't just make it up. So in your white hat practices, it's check and double check. the things that it's giving you and don't take it as gospel, because the chances are 50-50 that either it is or it's not.
Even the citations, like Brynne said a good point, that sometimes ChatGPT gives you those citations at the bottom. Half of them are dead links, or they're links to not what you asked for. Or I mean, generally I found with Perplexity, they're pretty on point, where it at least gives you a live link. I can't vouch for that's being a correct link, but definitely, as Deb just put up down there,
trust
verify.
but verify.
Well, I was thinking trust but verify, but I don't even think we want to use the word trust. I think we just want to verify.
Verify and then edit. Verify. I would say verify then edit. I mean, I've had it write my monologue in my newsletter verbatim, and I've gone back and put my spice on it. I put my voice on it, and my spice.
Food.
But food. I had some curry to it and all that. I mean, nice and spicy. But I've used it to write a whole blog post, and then I've rewritten the whole thing top to bottom, because it sounds like a fourth grader wrote it. It really does. It sounds like a fourth grader wrote it. If you ask for a full blog post, it sounds like my kid wrote it.
So can I just throw out, I know we're going to do happy, but one more thing, this is for serious. It's data privacy. So if you're using this for analyzing your data from your company, know that AI now has that data. So you can, in settings, depending on what you're using, turn it off so that it does not go into the mass brain.
Use a learning set,
yeah. And so it's really important that if you are going to put in any IP that's really not out there, or any data, financials that you don't want out there, you have to be really careful, because you can do wonderful things that then the whole world knows about. That's all. I just want to kind of
be aware. Yeah.
Well, and so is there just a way in settings? How do you turn them off? And this isn't happy or unhappy. This is just common sense, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's the same way. You don't want to. There's certain things you do not want to train everybody's AI with, right? So you need to not share that data.
Yeah, so there's two things. One of them, and I mean, this is not exactly this, but under personalization, and I only know ChatGPT, you can turn on or off memory. So that's the first thing, where it's really learning from you. The other thing is data controls, right? So you can go into, and you have improve the model for everyone or turn that off. So there's a toggle to turn off, improve the model for everyone. And there may be another area. You said something that I said yes to, but I wasn't aware of, Seth. You said learning mode. Is that what I heard you?
You have to make sure that it knows that it can or cannot use it, put it into its learning model. It's going to suck your stuff in. And then by following what Brynne's saying, you can say, yes, you can use this, though you can't use this. I mean, some stuff you gotta look at this and say, it's like, is it really that important if it's used? There's also robots.txt. That's the thing you can tell Googlebot not to scrape your site. There's a robots.txt that can actually block the scrapers of AI from even indexing your content. I've turned them off. I said, let them have it. It's fine. I don't care what I'm writing. It's usually me rambling about something endlessly. So I'm not really worried about it. But like other businesses are like, we don't want our financial reports to be sucked in by AI. And you can put a robots text file in your home directory. It's a little advanced. You can FTP it, more jargony word, sorry. But you can put it in your home directory and it blocks the certain bots. So
don't you have to give AI access to your whole directory? I mean, just because you're using AI, does that necessarily mean that it has full access to everything that's in your files?
If you tell it, no, but if you don't tell it not to, it's gonna assume it can. It's opt out, not opt in.
So I think the rule now is on any of these sites, go into the settings and make sure your privacy is protected. if you want it to be such.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds nice and easy. Okay. And thank you. It's a really good point. I appreciate you bringing that up, Brynne. I would love at this point, now that we've told everybody what they should and shouldn't do and what good is versus evil, let's gift some AI goals to the audience. So what is, because again, a happy, happy, joy, joy.
Exactly.
We want people to use this as the tool that it is meant to make their lives easier, to make their business better, et cetera, et cetera. What goal do you want to gift the audience, something that they could do today, tonight, whenever, to utilize AI to their benefit? And Seth, do you want to goal first?
The goal is for everyone now with 4-0, not 40, 40. Now that I know what that little tiny lowercase o was for. Whatever the heck it is, for the 40, whatever the heck it is. It's completely open to everyone. Everyone should jump in, watch your settings, but everyone should go in there and play with it a little bit. Just go in there, tell it like, "Hi, I'm Seth." It'll say, "Hi, I'm Seth." You'll tell them a fact about you. One cute thing it does is that if you say that fact was wrong, it says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Of course that fact is wrong." And it goes back and tries again. It's very apologetic. It's just very funny. It's a machine, but you can have a good chat with it. Just play with it. And then with ChatGPT, there's custom GPTs out there that people have built that everyone can use and play with them. Just play. But watch your settings.
Awesome. Okay, Hank, do you have a goal to gift?
Well, I think this would be an interesting experiment for people. If you're not signed up for AI, you could sign up for ChatGPT. I would tell you to sign up for Gemini because it's probably going to overshadow ChatGPT given enough time because, again, it's Google. But ask it to do something nice. You want to say you have a coworker, you want to compliment that coworker because they've done a really nice job on a project. Just talk about what they did and ask it to write a letter of appreciation to your coworker and see what comes out. And you might be so pleasantly surprised by what you get. And you might just decide to give it to the person. Although if I did that, I would tell them, I put in the parameters, but I had AI help me with this.
Well, I think isn't the alternate then to ask them to write a nice letter or a thank you note or whatever, and then you read it and maybe tweak it and then send it out to the world? Another option.
You could do that. I mean, that's the white hat practice we talked about before. But since the use that I was just talking about is so innocuous and maybe would make somebody feel really good, I figured, see what Gemini can generate and share it with the person.
Okay, no, I like the happy, uplifting AI goal. It's a good one, but I say, you want to read it over anyway, so why not do a couple edits, then it's yours, send it out to the people.
There you go.
Brynne, goal?
Yeah, so I am going to get very, very tactical, and I'm going to say the number one tip is become a prompt engineer. Learn how to write your own prompts. We have a model that actually Bob Woods, who's on my team, came up with. It's the CRISP model, but it's context, role, inspiration. Be nice if I knew my own model. I know P is prohibitions. I'm free. Oh, scope and prohibitions. So, and you don't have to do them all together, but those are like the 5 elements in writing out. I'll say it again. So it's context. See, R is role. I is inspiration, scope, and prohibitions. Prohibition sometimes is your best. Like, don't do this. I have on almost every single one of my prompts, don't use emojis because I just don't want them. Right. So if you can become a prompt engineer where you learn how to write prompts, I'm going to give a second tip, and I have no skin in the game on this, but for me, this is the most incredible freemium tool on the market today. It's called getmagical.com. Magical. It is a short code Chrome extension that you can store your prompts and you can add modifiers or placeholders. So you can say, if you have a prompt that says, I am a title who is selling to a title, you can make that fill in the blank. So it's amazing. So you can you build your prompts, and with your short code, getmagical.com, Chrome, it's also an Edge extension. It's life-changing. And so that's my 1-2 punch combo.
I love it. So it's really all about getting comfortable with it and it's like befriending it's not like befriending the technology. It is befriending the technology, and use it to your advantage so you can use it to save you time, energy, but also, in the case of what Brynne's talking about, get your message out in a clear way that helps your business. Oh, this has been fun. And and people can tell this is a topic that I need to know more about. So it's one of those cases. So I really appreciate the education. Before we wrap up, where can people find you all and learn more about you? Hank
Eder, EDER.com. That's my website, and it's got all my contact information right on there. And if anyone wants to talk about their home business, come chat me up about the Home Business Success Show, and we'll get you on my blog. Not my blog, on my podcast.
Me.
I think you have 3 potential guests right here. Love it. GoalChat brings people together. Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you, Hank. And Seth, where can people learn more about you?
I'll make it easy. You can just go to sethgoldstein.id or goldsteinmedia.com, since that's up there. I deb a curveball there. But sethgoldstein.id goes to sethgoldstein.me's social media page. And then you can find me there. You can find me on Mastodon. You can find me everywhere. So I'm everywhere. So.
Awesome. And Brynne, where can people learn more about you?
Well, so there's Find Me and Learn More. So I'm going to share first. If you go, we have a free membership. We have lots of memberships, but we have a free membership with an extensive library. I found out today we have over 100 ebooks in it. And that was mostly pre-ChatGPT.
Wow.
But you could go to socialsaleslink.com/library. It's a free membership. And I'm still the only Brynne Tillman on LinkedIn. I have exceeded I hit my 30,000. So I have to delete people, connections. I have to delete people to accept people. Please feel free to connect with me. Don't take it personally if it's a couple of weeks before I say yes.
Or follow her on LinkedIn so you can at least get her content.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's worth a follow.
Aww.
And sweet. And if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you will get the recap and the links. And I always include everybody's LinkedIn because, as I mentioned before, I am a fan, and it is really the best first place to connect with people. Say this is where we met. You heard, saw us, whichever is appropriate, on GoalChat, and you'd like to connect because, as I said before, can't reach your goals on your own. Let's be each other's people. I am at the Deb Method everywhere, and you can catch me every Monday live at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you need a little bit of extra help with your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals at your favorite place to buy books. Great conversation. I love all the AI love. Final thought, Hank.
Just thank you for having me here, and I've enjoyed this immensely. And I'll think of all of you the next time I use AI.
I think that's a good thing. Aw, thank you for that, Hank. And Seth, final thought.
I just love being on your show, Deb. You're sunshine.
Thank you. That's supposed to be a final inspirational thought, but I will accept and
That's probably
appreciate
it's
the
fine.
compliment.
Deb is sunshine, so.
Thank you so much. Okay, Brynne, final thought to you.
Final thought is don't be afraid of what's coming. Embrace it.
Oh, I love that.
I especially love it because I'm all about, embracing change by choice or by circumstance. You don't need circumstance. Just choose this is what my thing about goals. We deserve to live this wonderful life. So embrace change, embrace goals, do little things, learn more, which is why you're all here. And thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. And again, you can follow me at the Deb Method everywhere, and you can subscribe to GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network at your favorite podcast platform. Go on there, embrace those AI goals, go for it, because we know you can do it.